So I did this video for a few reasons. I haven't touched base with you guys on YouTube in a few days, and I have a lot to tell you in New Jersey land gossip-wise. Thea had to postpone our live to next Sunday, June 30th at 10 p.m. EST. I apologize. You can keep your notifications on. Same video streaming feed, so you don't have to touch them. It'll notify you next weekend. The reason was that Thea wasn't feeling well. Thea struggles with a disorder that's pretty serious. She does speak about it on her Instagram feed. I don't know, I won't say it on here, but it flares up and then she doesn't feel good. So I don't want her to do a live that she's not feeling good in. So we decide to postpone it till next Sunday because obviously her health is my priority. But I don't want to do it without her. I could have, but I didn't want to because I appreciate her take based on being at Phaedra's birthday party and some other things I want to discuss. In the meantime, though, I wanted to talk about some of the tea that's dropped this week, share some more whistleblower tea about Vinivia and what's happening to those poor investors that put money in it. And then I wanted to also chit-chat with you about some other happenings and give you a quick take in the meantime on some things because I saw your comments. You know I read everything. All right, so let me first remind you to go listen to episode 188. So here's episode 188. It's in the podcast section of the YouTube, 25 minutes free. You can listen to it. I do spill some tea for the free people because they get angry when I don't do that. It's in my free clips, again, free clips of my podcast section of my playlist. And then for the rest of my Patreon members, go listen to the whole thing. It's 2 hours. It's chocked full of tea. Tell the whole whistleblower story in a cohesive way. Also, I want you guys to know that this particular whistleblower I did speak to on the phone, and I know who they are. But I'm going to keep it secret, and that's it. Okay, so there it is. Yay! I hope you enjoy it. You'll get a better idea when you listen to the end of the episode. Okay, so one more thing. I did a deal with Bling is the New Black, okay? And the website is in the description of my videos going forward. If you buy anything on her website and put in here, as you're checking out, you write where it says discount code Dana, okay? You can do it lowercase, you can do it capital D, little A-N-A, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, you put Dana in here and I get 50% of the money from the purchase and you get free shipping in the US. This is huge for me because she has so much cool stuff on her website. And it can be absolutely anything on the website as long as you put Dana in the code section. She has ones that are funny, like sayings about animals and wine, and like instead of hot mess, like H-O-T, she's got like hot couture, and her material's really good and it's really like trendy looking. These are just ones I grabbed quickly off the site, but I mean, you'll definitely find stuff, and she's great. So, and these are really nice crystals. So I hope you'll buy some stuff and help me out in my really terrible situation that you know I'm in. And at the same time, get some cool merch and you can join me in wearing a shirt. I'm getting one in the mail next week and I'm going to wear it on my live with Thea. So, you know, tonight we're back talking about Lena getting kicked out of the VIP area at Daniel Cabril's charity event. And so I thought I'd bring this to your attention in case you missed it. So Karen and Lena are very good friends. I didn't know that till I saw their video today. There they are. It makes sense, I guess, that Karen would turn on Danielle based on the fact that Lena felt snubbed by Danielle. So it's possible Karen was coming to Lena's aid, and that's why Karen also dropped tea anti-Danielle suddenly. What's weird to me, though, is Lena has Danielle highlighted on her page for her hair and makeup. It also turns out that Lena's rich, and she's not some poor little makeup artist that got kicked out of the VIP room. Her husband buys NetJet stuff and is the talk of New Jersey, her husband, allegedly. Won't go too far down that rabbit hole. But yeah, so like, it's not like Lena is some helpless little makeup artist. She also does multiple Bravo celebrities. She went to BravoCon. She does Gia Giudice, Teresa Giudice, Danielle. She's done other cast members from other franchises on her show. She's done, I think, Jackie Goldschneider. So yeah, Selena gets a lot of business. You know, she's not some like little poor underdog that was in the VIP area and got kicked out. I thought it was weird too that Louis Rellis and some of the other women didn't go grab her since they care about her so much. How come Jennifer Aydin didn't run over and say, Danielle, you've got to let her in. I won't tolerate it. I also thought it was so weird in tonight's episode that Jennifer Aydin kept saying that she would give up all her money for a charity that she was involved with and doing an event for. But then she was saying to Danielle she would like to be on the Step and Repeat because her time is worth money, and that she wanted that to happen on the Step and Repeat as like a way of being paid. And then pulls in Teresa with Namaste Bitches saying the same thing. Like, so she wants to take away from the event because she's a celebrity or a reality star. So I was like, how are you arguing this point? Like that you're so generous, and then you're at the same time saying that you want to be paid in some way, which is basically what a Step and Repeat is. It's a payment to the brand for paying to be a part of the event. But now she wants money for attending, but she never said anything up front. I think that's terrible. And not everybody can afford to do a charity event, to be fair, where they can pay to have the event, you know, for the charity. And I would hate people to hear this TV show tonight and think, oh, I better not do a charity event because I can't afford to cover the cost of it. Like, it's, you know, that it's still do your charity event. Just cover your cost and then, you know, and go on the lean, promote as much of it as you can, and then pay it out to the rest of the charity. But don't not do the event to raise the money. I mean, really, this is just... So Gabriella actually pre-released this entire story before it came out because it was told to her by, I think, Teresa and Jen Aydin, but definitely Jen Aydin. And so Jen was texting someone at the end of the episode. I think it was Gabriella. Yeah, it's Gabriella. Can you believe it? I know. But anyway, Gabriella told the whole story, so I wasn't surprised this happened on tonight's episode. But I thought that you would find this interesting. This was what NBC said about their new protocols to deal with physical violence on set. The note also highlighted plans to implement more serious consequences for physical violence on set. Gee, what consequences did they get? Remember this? Well, they wouldn't let them film over a weekend because of it. They had to schedule all their scenes for the following week. What a terrible punishment they endured for this physical violence after NBC's changed protocols. Give me a freaking break. This is like the Bravo investigations. I thought you might enjoy seeing what a day in the work life of Vinivia is like out of their Avenue of the Star office. I think this is probably on the 10th floor of this, from what I heard. And there's Teresa Giudice and Louis Rellis, and I hear that when they're in Los Angeles, they hang out with the senior executive staff a lot and have fun with them. And, well, Louis is working there, so there he is. He's mainly working under Influencer Nation. Sadly, the investors are starting to think something is wrong. Hello, I have a shareholding with you. I would like to discuss the next steps I'm considering in investing further or selling my shares. Can you assign me an advisor? Unfortunately, I've not received any feedback by email. I'm very much looking forward to hearing from you. So this is just like an investor, like, could somebody like reach out to me about where my money is and what's happening? Here's a really sad one. Let me read it to you. I invested my inheritance in Vinivia. I bought 15,000 shares for 7 CHF each. I invested 105,000. The current worth should be now 24 each, which would mean I have more than doubled my money. I was personally involved with Marcello. I knew him around 4 years. He took me on dates. He would pick me up in his Porsche or red Ferrari. I have also been to Vinivia HQ in Zug, Switzerland. He convinced me to invest my inheritance, saying that I will be set for life. I have a chronic illness, and in the last 2 years, my health has been declining. In between all the hospital appointments and therapies, I'm only able to work 50% at the moment, and that will most likely decline over the next few years. I thought I was making a smart decision that would be able to pay for better treatment for myself, and that if I am unable to work in the future because of my condition, I would be financially set. He told me that this was a no-risk investment. He's got most of his money in the company as well. I've been trying to contact them for over a year to sell my shares, but my emails all go ignored like the last guy. They have sent me a new contract to sign, which is 40 pages. I don't understand it, so I have to pay a lawyer to go over it, which cost almost $3,000. I don't have the money for this. I'm struggling financially, and as it is, I won't be able to afford a lawyer to sue them if this is all true. I'm at a loss on what to do. Does anyone have any tips? Honestly, I feel like ending it all. My family is going to be so ashamed of me. I'm so embarrassed. I don't know what to do. If you want to contact me personally, you can. I have all the receipts. And then she gives her email address. So, how could I not contact her? Let's do it, shall we? I haven't done it yet. While we're waiting to hear back from poor Asha, let's take a look at what this scam is all about, allegedly. Okay, you have to bear with me now. I need your attention span. So Real Housewives of New Jersey, Louis Rellis, is very close friends with Marcello Genovese. And he's been hanging out with Marcello Genovese since way back in November. And allegedly, Genovese gave an investment to Louis Rellis' company, Influencer Nation, of a few $100,000, and also helped him get some IT stuff set up using the resources of Vinivia and set him up on an entire floor in the same building as Vinivia. And they were designed to kind of feed off each other in terms of what they do. Probably James Leonard might want to be aware that Louis Rellis is getting into the influencer management business, which is what he's doing. Now, I also think when he gets influencers that aren't big enough to manage, which is most of them, he probably takes their contact information that he gets from his website, influencernation.io, and he uses those contacts for some other purposes because he's been in the lead generation business for many, many years. And so he would never just discard that contact information, right? So the people that he can take on to manage, he's supposed to. But what's shocking is that his website says he's managing Tyga, that he's managing Charlie D'Amelio, that he's managing the D'Amelio family, and then numerous other ginormous influencers. And I questioned in my previous video whether or not those influencers even knew they were on that website. And I did hear a story from the whistleblower that one model in Los Angeles heard that her face was being used on Influencer Nation's website, and she sent her attorney down to the office to meet with Louis Rellis and force him to take it off. And I think he did, although I'm still waiting for confirmation on that. But yeah, so that's kind of what's happening. So if anybody knows Tyga, they might want to show them that website. But needless to say, not my business, that part. So Louis Rellis is very close friends with Marcello Genovese, who's the head of this company that these really major allegations are coming down about him. He's getting married too. Like, why would you commit this terrible stuff right before you get married? That's unless your wife's rich, then it could work for you, I guess. But anyway, Marcello Genovese is, the head of this company. And a lot of people keep asking me, what's the con with Vinivia? This is not the con with Influencer Nation. Influencer Nation just interacts with Vinivia. But Vinivia, what's the con with, Marcello Genovese and Stefan Graf? And all I can tell you what the allegations are. So I'm going to read this to you. This is the allegation. Deception and downfall, the rise and fall of Graf and Genovese. Stefan Graf, born in 1971 in Freiburg, funded his company in Germany called Betrayal Media. After managing a nightclub, he shifted his focus to promoting artists. He worked with the artist Hans Entertainment and bound him with a restrictive management contract. Shortly after, a lawsuit ensued over €50,000 owed to the artists, which was never paid. The money vanished. Stefan Graf, along with his cameraman, Marcello Genovese, yes, Marcello was a cameraman, found Torsten Scheifen, an intern at RTL. Torsten proved to be a loyal accomplice who could keep secrets and do anything for money. Sounds like they have a lot of these guys. Torsten connected them with Randall Bennett, one of the founders and developers of Vidpresso from the USA, who needed support in marketing their product in the EU. Graf and Genovese took over the marketing and invoiced their services. However, once initial contacts were made, customer payments mysteriously disappeared, and dubious currency conversions led to breaches of trust, whatever that means. Shortly after, Vidpresso was successfully sold to Facebook, leaving Graf and Genovese empty-handed as they had no stake in the project, losing their only client. Now, Genovese and Graf has pretended that they were the CMOs of this company, not really external, ad agency guys promoting it. And they also made it sound like it was their company. They were founding members of it. And so Randall Bennett, who actually was the founding member, has said these are all lies and misrepresentations of their relationship with Vidpresso. In search of money, Graf and Genovese discovered the world of cryptocurrency, where fast and substantial profits could be made. They met Stefan Neller, founder of the blockchain Infinity Economics, an early Bitcoin investor. Neller amassed great wealth as Bitcoin's value soared. Through dubious fundraising, ICOs, and scam projects like My Crypto World and We Go Crypto, he gained immense cryptocurrency wealth. Soon, the Solothurn Public Prosecutor's Office pursued him for commercial fraud and money laundering, forcing him underground. In hiding, he continued to collaborate with Graf and Genovese, using them for money laundering. Gee, I wonder how Louis Rellis got introduced to these characters. I'll leave you there to ponder. Where's David Brill when we need him? Together, they built a network of companies and bank accounts, leading to the formation of G2 Group AG and later Heroes Group AG. They enlisted the help of Italian accountant Andrea Remo Verone, who handled all accounting and became an integral part of the criminal gang. To cover their tracks, they needed to manage legitimate customer projects based on the Infinity Economics blockchain to increase its value and consequently their cryptocurrency wealth. They connected with Jorg Schaefer, who raised investor funds for the project TreeCoin. To develop such projects, talent was needed. Graf and Genovese established 2 locations in Germany, Heroes Group in Cologne and Heroes Development GmbH in Kiel. They reached the peak of their careers. Money laundering and the first genuine customer project, TreeCoin, brought in the money, and for the first time, a real team worked for Genovese and Graf. However, problems soon arose. The money laundering process was slow. Genovese and Graf flew in private jets, bought Porsches, Rolexes, and Ferraris, and threw lavish private parties in Spain, squandering enormous sums. Consequently, bills for the locations and employees were not paid on time, leading to a decline in morale. Within a year, the German locations had to close due to staff departures. Waves of resignation shattered the system, talent disappeared, and TreeCoin project ended in a legal dispute, which explains why it's no longer featured on his origin story and his resume. From then on, they decide to avoid customer projects and work independently. They posed as successful and wealthy founders of Vidpresso and sold their story to investors worldwide. They claim to have developed a new project after Vidpresso called Vinivia, which would surpass TikTok. Using this lie, they raised $40 million, moved to the US, and operated independently. Numerous legal battles followed, and that is where we find ourselves in the story today. So now I want to move on to Melissa Pfiester and what happened with all these receipts that dropped with the All About the TRH Girls. They do a podcast and they have a Patreon where they put pictures and things up. And to be fair, they always say that they're coming 100% from Teresa Giudice's perspective in the way that they're reporting and that they are fans with her and obviously get their information from her in some cases, which happens. And that's their prerogative, honestly. But I was asked for my take on some of the images they dropped regarding Melissa Pfiester. And I want to talk about the text messages that were dropped as well. So I want to tell you the version of events that I understood happened, and then I can revisit this next week with Thea. So this was one receipt. It's Jen making a funny face and Teresa Giudice acting like she's loving that Melissa Pfiester's grabbing her boobs. And here's the other one that dropped. It's Melissa Pfiester looking seductive. Jen's posing normally. Teresa's sort of laughing at what Melissa's doing. And then there was a bunch of text messages, and the texts were between Melissa, Jennifer, and James Leonard. And a lot of people thought it was weird that James Leonard was on the text messages, because Jen and Melissa Pfeister are kind of talking aggressively to each other. Jen is saying that she thinks Melissa's a terrible person because she made her feel uncomfortable in the way she was behaving in that way in those pictures, and that, you know, she stands by her truth, that Melissa hit on her and she didn't like it. And you know, and Melissa's like, why are you trying to hurt the show and hurt me in the way that you're handling this with fans? And so there's this sort of conversation happening, and James is like sort of overseeing the whole thing. Now, what I think happened that night, because it was Phaedra's birthday party, that was the outfit they were all wearing at it. And I know for a fact that the women weren't drinking that much. Not Jen, not Teresa, not Melissa, not that night. I believe that's because they had to perform the next day and they didn't want to be hungover. It's really hard to entertain when you feel like crap. And the men were like 10 sheets to the wind. And what I understand happened was that Melissa was joking around. That's like her sense of humor. Maybe it's not for everyone, but that's how she is. And Teresa got it and Jen didn't. And that's it. And then Jen tried to sort of weaponize it because she was pissed at Melissa Pfeister because she thought that Melissa and Bill were flirting, but they weren't. Melissa was just being herself, talking to Bill. Bill was drunk. They were just chit-chatting because Bill was hammered, and he was like having a good time like any drunk guy does. And Melissa Pfeister was chit-chatting back. But Jen didn't like it, and it pissed her off, and it kind of like ignited her. And as a result of that, she like turned on Melissa Pfeister that night. And it went from like, hi, funny, chum chum, to like, I want to destroy you, okay? Then there's the text exchange between Jim Leonard and these women. What happens is that Melissa Pfeister was invited on Namaste Bitches by Jim Leonard. So when any negative thing was happening regarding the show and anybody related to Teresa, Jim Leonard was included in the conversation as the key person who manages Teresa Giudice, was handling the show, and in a sense brought Melissa Pfeister into the show. And so she was like kind of having this conversation on the record with Jim for that reason. And Jen was, you know, being very dramatic as she does. So this is what it is. I don't think really to make more out of it than just that. So the next question becomes, you know, what happened with Melissa Pfeister? Well, first and foremost, I've never heard Melissa Pfeister blame Teresa Giudice or Louis Rellis for what happened with the loss of her baby. I haven't heard that. So my understanding was that Melissa Pfeister went to BravoCon 2023. And when she went there, she didn't know she was pregnant. And then she didn't drink the first night very much, only because she just wasn't drinking and nobody was. And then she started partying over the weekend like everybody else does. And then at some point over the weekend, she loses her baby and she's so upset over it. Plus it simultaneously happens with Louis Rellis yelling at her and saying she's nothing and she's nobody to the show and all this stuff. And then she ends up getting very upset for, obviously that's a lot to take in during BravoCon 2023. Her husband's so worried about her that like the next morning he flies her out on a private jet back to LA. That's it. And she didn't know she was pregnant until she lost the baby. And then she knew. And then she tried again. And now she's pregnant. She's 8 months pregnant. And it would be really great if everybody would just lay off her. That's all I'm saying. Like really, truly. But she never said that Louis did it. It's so weird. Now, I have to wonder why Jen was so fixated on Melissa Pfeister. And I don't know, from what I heard, Jennifer Aydin said that Teresa Giudice should have offered the podcast to her, and she didn't understand why she offered it to Melissa Pfeister in the first place. But now she would never do a podcast with Teresa Giudice because she's nobody's sloppy seconds, especially Teresa's. And she was also upset that Teresa didn't have her back more on this season. She said Teresa was just quiet the whole time. And then, I suppose, in tonight's show, we saw Teresa say, well, if someone pushed me, I'd bash him over the head with a water pitcher too. So didn't really have Jen's back there either. So Jen was harvesting some real anger about Teresa, and she was spilling that tea to Teresa's soldier at the time, who turned out to be Gabriella, who used to be called Melissa's old nose, to make fun of Melissa because Teresa Giudice and Jennifer Aydin hated Melissa Gorga and wanted to kind of like come for her behind the scenes with the fan base off the show. And so that's what happened. And then Gabriella flipped and she started to spill all the tea. But part of the tea that she spilled was all the spoilers for the entire season that we're watching now before they were known or teased or anything. And they've all come out. And then Bravo got mad and they reached out and Gabriella sent all the receipts of everything she was sent and saw to them. And she had proof she had the screeners. And Bravo got mad at Jennifer Aydin. And they told Jennifer Aydin, we're fining you and we're not letting you do PR. And that's what I heard. So that's my video in lieu of my live tonight. I have more, a lot more, and we'll do it next Sunday. And I'll answer any questions you guys have, especially the Patreons who listen to the entire Vinivia whistleblower's story, which is not included in this video. Believe it or not, there's nothing in this video that actually is in the episode I dropped today.